no matter what happens in your fertility journey, you're going to need support. And while if you do have a partner, they are there for you, but it's in a totally different way. Having somebody who's super informed, who can be an emotional backstop.
Welcome to Her Fertility, the podcast revolutionizing the way women are supported on their fertility journey. I'm your host, Jess Timms. With years of supporting women as a fertility doula, I've seen the emotional pain caused by infertility, including my own struggle with unexplained infertility. And I always knew there had to be a better way to support women with their fertility health and healing. This is the first podcast to combine the principles of spirituality and energy healing with the research-based fertility data to support you in a way you've never seen before. You can stop feeling alone, confused, frustrated, and overwhelmed, and start finding the answers you've been looking for, because this podcast goes so much deeper than anything you can search for online. If you're ready to find a new spiritual perspective for your fertility journey, then press play. I am honored to share with you the story of Anna, who tried to get pregnant, and I had the privilege of supporting her on her fertility journey. And today she is pregnant, and what her story highlights is the need for support even when everything's coming back normal. When everything is quote unquote normal on the labs, there's nothing really showing up. Once her and I were able to work together and really dive into that softer data around her cycle tracking, her periods, her length of her periods, her period symptoms. Once we really sat with that for a few months and started to question what was going on, we started to uncover a lot of layers. Our medical system was just missing for her. And I was able to support her in really hearing and trusting her intuition to ask more questions and get more data and get more tests. It was such a beautiful journey to walk through with her, and I'm so honored to have been a part of it. And so if you are on a fertility journey where you're not getting answers, you feel confused and stuck, and you just don't know what to do next, then Anna's story is for you. Check it out. Thank you so much for joining me. We've been busy being newly pregnant, which is so exciting. And now you're not so newly pregnant.
Yeah, I'm on the precipice of entering the third trimester.
It's amazing. If you don't mind starting with sharing why we started working together and where that led you.
My husband and I had been not trying for about a year, meaning no real effort, but no more precautions. And I wasn't feeling like we were having issues yet or anything. But because I, in my field, work with a lot of women who are trying to conceive, knew there were certain things I didn't want to fall into the trap of, which is like feeling really overwhelmed, feeling unsupported. So I kind of started with you before I was feeling those things. I didn't want to wait until I was feeling that way. The great thing was, you were super accessible on social media. So I kind of already felt like I knew you. And then I reached out to you, and I sort of already knew that I would want to do, even though you had a lot of other offerings, I wanted to do one-on-ones because that's how I like to learn. And off the bat was like, all right, I want to do personal sessions. And yeah, that's how we got started.
Yeah. And what I love about you, Anna, is you did have that foresight and you surrounded yourself with the support right away. And can I share? So you are a chiropractor,
Hmm.
you're a doctor, you're a chiropractor, and you do support women. And I work with a lot of doctors and people who are high functioning women. And you had that foresight of I don't want to go down that path. And so let me set myself up. And it was such an honor to work with you at that point in your process because we were able to navigate it together as the ebbs and the flows came. And you are now pregnant, which is so exciting. But the journey was long for you.
I mean, one of the things that I really appreciated about your support, of course, like I have a wonderful, loving, supportive husband, but I think like a lot of men, he felt totally out of his depth, and it was like, well, whatever you want to do, I'm here for you, right? Like, and it was nice to have somebody when it felt like the time came. Like I knew that I had uterine fibroids, kind of been misled about where they were, how many, how severe. I was told they would not affect my fertility. And maybe that was the case when they were initially diagnosed back in 2020. And I kind of started to get the feeling like I really need to look at this. And having you be like, yes, absolutely, you should. It was that much easier to do it and less scary and less like, oh, they're gonna for sure find something that's wrong with me. Or even like scarier to, I think a lot of women is they're not gonna find anything.
Yeah.
And so like visit one, did an ultrasound, and they were like, you have a massive fibroid that's taking up like your entire uterine cavity,
Yeah.
and there's nowhere for a baby to implant.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there was like a little bit of internal frustration and disappointment. So I had to rethink after surgeries went well, and you helped me navigate. We talked a little bit about there were different options for types of surgeries. And in the end, coming back to mentally like clearing the debt and having support, because that's a mental change. Being a business owner, being a doctor, very like grit, stick to itiveness, failure not an option. And approaching fertility, there is some of that, but then there is some of that like secret mojo that is not quantifiable. And you do a really good job of bringing both of those worlds together, of like taking the hard science and evidence base and taking some of that uh whatever you want to call it, magic.
Magic. It's magic.
And like bringing it together.
On my end, it was kind of one of those like, okay, we're trying these things, like everything. You were so healthy and so aware medically of the body, but your charts were always funny. And your cycles were long and your periods were heavy. And we were like, what's going on? Right. So we had this like these kind of symptoms, right? They were livable, but like there still always was something that just wasn't right. And I think that really helped us when you did start like, okay, well, what about these fibroids? Should I go? Should I get them checked out? And so, like, I think sometimes women, we just brush things off and we're not really tuning into that, like, gut of like, let's really ask more questions of medicine and what
Mm-hmm.
data can we pull. I think that was really unique about your journey where it was like, we need more data here.
Definitely. Yeah. Like the certain things that I should have seen in cycle tracking just wasn't adding up. And I think what if a friend or a patient was telling me the things that I would have absolutely told them to get checked out. And now I know even more, you know, our mindsets are changing. And while painful periods are common, it's not normal. And that's something I've really carried into my practice, talking a lot more with my female patients about their cycles, what they're like. And if they're like, yeah, I'm down and out and bedridden, I'm like, that's not normal. So I really felt like I got my life back after the second surgery.
So you had those fibroids removed and then pain-free, wonderful cycles.
So yeah, the day after my 37th birthday, I was like, okay, this is the reset button. Super duper clean up the diet for 3 months, which was hard because all
Yeah.
the holidays, November, December, January. And then we got pregnant in March,
Yeah.
the beginning of March.
It was so amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, it does, it feels like a huge commitment because it is, you know, a fertility lifestyle so different from what our social lifestyle is, especially
Mhm.
with holidays and everything. And regardless of what this journey brings people, it will always benefit sperm and egg health. So it's worth it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot to mention, I did 1 dose of Clomid and I got pregnant on the first try. And I felt, you know, it's like those eggs were really good eggs. Those were some
Totally.
really nice eggs
Perfect eggs.
that were coming down the pipeline at that time
Yeah.
when I did Clomid. And, you know, we really tried hard because I did not like being on Clomid. I didn't feel fantastic. So I was like, let's make sure that we are really doing everything we can to
Yeah.
maximize. Yeah.
Yeah. You had mentioned a little bit, and I want to unpack this with you about bridging the medical and the magic of this whole journey. Can you tell me more about like what that means for you?
If somebody operates more like Anna's a little bit more type A, like very specific seed cycling instructions and what I should be doing on, day one all the way through, sadly in my case, like day 42 of my cycle there at the end, giving very structured, along with the meditations that you would record for me custom during our sessions, to have those, to even talk about the impact that, like, my feelings, my relationships with others, my relationship to my business, right? That was my baby. And maybe until I could look at it in a different light, that there wasn't going to be energy for my human child to come into the world. And so you look at it from all angles. You meet people where they're at. And so if you need to direct them or get to them a little bit more so through like the meditation, the chakras, you did Reiki on me once, which was amazing. I'd never had received Reiki, but I was like open to it. And that was so awesome, so powerful. And I think I was already so comfortable with you because we talked for hours and hours, that I was really open to doing that with you, and definitely had a big emotional release. I cried happy tears afterwards. I was like, it's so weird. I'm not sad, but I can't stop the tears from coming, and it feels good. It just feels like a letting go. And that was really cool to experience. I appreciate that you like take into account where the person is coming from. You have the research to back the things. Whatever it is that you suggest is not coming out of left field, and you're able to explain it really well. And you're really good about, I don't know, if I'm being honest with you, it's just like, you'd be like, did you do any of your meditation? I'm like, nope, I did not.
You're not the only
But
one.
yeah.
It's funny.
And so, but without being judged,
Yeah.
it was just a checking in, and an offering, and like, and then the times when I would do it, or the times that my husband and I would do it together. And it was just nice to have those different tools available to me.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm so glad. I mean, both you and your husband were such a pleasure to work with. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, everything is very customized. Everybody's journey is different. And I have a huge toolbox, but what applies to you and your journey is going to be different from other people. And so, yeah, absolutely meeting people where they're at. But it took a lot of courage on your end to show up and to be honest and to be open and to, be willing to go there. I think it's so natural for us to like put our guard up, especially when there's something so intimate and so personal. And so it was such a pleasure working with you because you were so open. And I think it really takes like, when you're ready, this will work, right? And when you're ready, this support helps. But people will ask me, like, when does somebody work with you? I'm like, well, when they're ready, because it's different for everybody. And I was so
Mhm.
grateful that you were so open. Do you have something that was your favorite thing?
I really liked when you would give me kind of writing prompts, like you discovered in me, and we talked about like I used to write all the time, and haven't really tapped into like my creative self as much since becoming a chiropractor. And uh, you sort of caught on to that, and we worked a lot with that. And we'd do like visualizations, and then you'd have me write, or you'd have me write a letter to the baby or to myself. And I really enjoyed that. It allowed me to dig down deep and think about things that I might not have thought about on a conscious level. I really
Mm.
enjoyed that.
I'm so glad you brought that up. It's so interesting because we talk about fertility, of course, but we talk about so many other things like your business and your relationships, and finding the thing is always my favorite moment working with someone because everybody's thing is different. And for you, you are a beautiful writer, and it was clearly an outlet and clearly a gift that you have. And so being able to use that for you was really helpful. Would you recommend me to work with people? And if so, why?
In a heartbeat, and I do all the time. I want them, one, to have like your information early before they're at the point where every time somebody tells you that they're pregnant, it feels like a personal affront and painful. Through any step of the journey, I think is really helpful to have somebody who is knowledgeable, who is there for you as the person who is trying to conceive. I definitely refer you to all the time without hesitation. I loved working with you. It was very easy, it was very straightforward, clear expectations on both the client and the doula.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for all the referrals. I think one of the hardest things for me to hear is when I'm working with someone and they're like, man, I wish I would have learned about you sooner. And that's my work to do, is to get this out and in the hands of the people who need it sooner. So I appreciate all of that.
You're welcome.
And you are happily pregnant and so excited for that. How are you feeling transitioning into this next phase?
Yeah, I feel really good. Everybody always asks me, like, are you so excited? And that is not the feeling. I feel very content,
Yeah.
at peace. Like it feels really right.
Mm.
There's just so many things, like the fact that we got pregnant in March, we got married in March. So it was kind of like 3 years. So yeah, I feel really, really good. It's still really surreal, even though I can feel her kicking. I thought for sure, I was like, oh, the moment I can feel her kicking, that's when it's going to be like, I'm pregnant and there's a baby in me. Even with her moving, it's still very like, very surreal.
Yeah, I totally understand that feeling. And like, there's still moments, Maddox is 6 now, and there's still moments where I'm like, man, like this is real. Like I like feel like I need to pinch myself because it is such a journey and it is real now. And I'm 6 years into it and I still feel that. So I don't know if it ever goes away, but it's okay. It makes it so much sweeter.
Mhm.
Is there anything else you want to add to this conversation?
I would say, just if anybody's on the fence about working with you, I think you have really nothing to lose and everything to gain. No matter what happens in your fertility journey, you're going to need support. And while if you do have a partner, they are there for you, but it's in a totally different way. Having somebody who's super informed, who can be an emotional backstop, but also give you things to do, especially if you're the type of person where you do better when you have things to do, makes all the difference in the world. And I think that I mean, it was a really long journey, and I think that I handled the weight, so to speak, right? Taking so long or these frustrations. Yeah, I had some days, but for the most part, considering I had patients telling me that they were getting pregnant at least once a week the
Yeah.
entire time, and it didn't ever really get to the point where I was like, I need to take a step back from being in this position. Most of the time my heart and my head were aligned and I was just super happy for the other
Yeah.
person. And I don't think I would have been in that mindset if it wasn't for working with you.
Thank you for saying that. That means so much. And it was such a pleasure to work with you. Truly. I loved all of our sessions. And for that to be part of your journey just makes me so happy. I created this out of what I wish I had. And it's like, I wish I had that container for it, for the journey, for the emotions, for all the things, so that I could continue to be myself and show up like authentically as me rather than what my experience was like carrying it all with me. And so to be able to give that container is such an honor. So thank you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Her Fertility Podcast. In a sea of big name podcasts, your support means the world to me. If you enjoyed the show, I would so appreciate your support by leaving a review on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or YouTube, wherever you listen, to help me reach as many women as possible. You can also share this episode with a friend. Sharing the podcast is the best way to help it grow and build a community to support you on your fertility journey. If we aren't already connected, please find me at herfertility.support on social media or sign up for one of my next fertility courses or offerings at www.herfertility.support.